Hey guys, Lady en Route here. Here is the 2018 highlight video that I made in Photoshop. A lot of you expressed interest in how I made this, so that's why this tutorial exists. Let's dive right in using some of the same pictures so I can teach you how to do it too. So for all of you who are following along in my how to delete the background from an image, welcome back, and for those of you just joining us, that was what my previous tutorial was for. And now I'm just going to continue on and show you how I use that same image that I erased the background from to begin my video animation in Photoshop for my highlight reel. So first thing is first, we need to create a timeline. So go to your window, find timeline almost all the way down at the bottom, click. Perfect. Okay, so now that we have this box down here, we have a few options. We can create a frame animation, which is kind of like a GIF, or we can create a video animation, which is the option that we want to choose here. So go ahead and click video, create video timeline for your video animation, and create. This is what your screen should look like now. So your video timeline is only going to show the layers that currently exist within your Photoshop file. So we're going to open up all of the pictures that I want to include in my reel that will slide across the screen as you saw in the previous. So I just drag them in just like this. And to include them in your Photoshop file, just click enter, 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 it doesn't matter, until they're all showing up in your Photoshop file. It doesn't matter where they are at this point in time. Just make sure they all load. And now you should see all of the photos that you just dragged in the side and in your timeline. So as layers and in your timeline. You always want to keep the foreground at the very top as layer 1. Now I like to name my files so that I can keep track of them because they're going to be off the screen at some points, so I name them, that way I know which one I'm dealing with because the thumbnail won't be showing and you'll see in just a minute. So here I am naming all of them. Doesn't matter what you name them, whatever will help you remember. And these are the images that are going to slide across the screen as my highlight reel. So now they're all named, and you can see here in the layers as well as in the timeline layers that they all have their name. So I'm just hiding the few so I can work with the first image. So here's my first image. You have to click on the layer to select it and to work with it. And now, just like in the previous tutorial, I'm going to Command T to be able to move this and shift this around. So Command T allows you to move any layer that you are currently on or have selected. So I want to start with my image all the way off to the left because I want my image to slide from the left to the right, and then I'm going to click enter, and I'm going to do the same thing for all of the images that I want to slide across. So I'm going to size this up a bit. This is what it will look like as it slides across. I want it to fit across the whole screen. So this is what I want my image to look like as it is sliding from left to right. I use the pink and green lines that come up to make sure that I'm staying at the same level height-wise as it slides across. But here we'll click the next one, Command T, size it up a bit, same as we did before. Looks perfect. This is what this one will look like as it slides across. See, I like the pink at the top because it doesn't really show all the way to the bottom, so as long as it's hitting the top, and then we click enter to keep it there. But you can see how the thumbnail does not show in the timeline or on the layer anymore, so layering or naming your layers is very important. Almost at the last one, guys, sorry. Alright, this one looks good. Move it off to the side because that's where you want it to start when the movie is playing across. And you'll understand that a little bit more later. All right, sizing up the very last one here. Awesome. This looks good. Okay, move it off to the side, and then we will begin creating our animation. So my video starts off with the words, or the letters, hello, the numbers sliding across the screen. So we're going to start with that first. So a few things to note, guys, is you want your background layer to always stay at the bottom, and you want your foreground layer to always stay at the top. So those things will never shift. We're not really going to move these around, but always, always, always you want the foreground at the top because you always want it to show in front of everything else, and you want the background at the back. Now I'm unlocking it. You don't have to do this. This is just so that you can manipulate it, but we won't have to manipulate it in this case. So your text is going to live on the background or your first layer. It doesn't matter in this case. So to add text, you have to go to the text icon, which is in the left toolbar, indicated by the big letter T. So go ahead and click on that. Like I said, doesn't matter whether it's on your background or it's on your first layer because that's where it's going to live. So T, and then click anywhere because you can move it afterwards. Type 2018. Now this is like Wingdings or something, so I'm going to highlight it. And then up in the top where the fonts are indicated, the drop down, I'm going to choose something random. It really doesn't matter. Let's choose Arial. So I want it to be bigger, so I'm going to go to these two, or well, let's change the color first. I want it to be black, click OK, and then I'm going to change the size by clicking, dragging, and sliding across the two T's there, or you can do it with the numbers however you choose, and then to move it, I'm going to click the move icon and drag it to the center where you can see you want it to end up. So this is where I want my 2018 to be for right now. So now that we've created our text, we can actually transform it in the timeline box. So this is where we manipulate everything. So here, this slidey thing, you can see the time is moving in the bottom left corner. You see those numbers moving? So this is how our movie is moving across, and this is time indicated. Awesome. So now that we know that our movie doesn't look very long. So we're going to scale the view down. So we're basically zooming out essentially and zooming in, zooming out, so we can see more time. And I want to extend these a little bit because I want the duration to be a little bit longer. I don't think where it is long enough. I think maybe 10 seconds is probably best. So I'm going to make all of my layers in the timeline box extend to 10 seconds. And you should do this before you create any video. You can always extend them more if you need to later, but I think 10 seconds is going to work best for this. So now that I have a platform to work with, we can actually manipulate our text. So let's click this drop-down arrow, and these are the tools that we have to manipulate the text. So like we did in my previous tutorial and like we did before, I want to transform my 2018 to begin off the screen. So let's hit Command T. We also always want to start from 0. So when the time is 0, when the video starts, I want 2018 off screen. So Command T, I want to do something cool here too. So like maybe let's flip this upside down, and I want it to twirl on screen. It's maybe a little bit confusing to you now, but you'll understand in just a second. So I'm flipping this upside down. All right, almost there. I'm being a little bit nitpicky here. Okay, this looks about good. Almost. And once I've gotten it horizontal to a place that I like. Okay, so now I'm going to move this off screen. Almost. Not quite there yet. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to slide this off screen because this is where I want it to start at point 0. When my movie starts, I don't want 2018 on the screen. So let's move it up here. I want it to line up here. That way I know exactly where it is. Okay, so now I'm going to click the transform button, and there's going to be a little diamond that pops up indicating where 2018 is. It is stuck there where I've placed it at point 0. So now, like I mentioned, I'm going to use my time indicator, and let's say 20 seconds is going to be how I measure everything. So in the bottom left where you see the numbers moving, I want it to say 20 seconds, and at the 20-second mark, put your 2018 where you want it to be. So Command T, I'm going to zoom out so I can see and control it better. I'm flipping it back around because I don't want it to be upside down. I want it to be right side up. At 20 seconds, I want 2018 right in the middle. Then when you hit enter, the diamond shows up, showing you where that will be at the 20-second mark. So if you slide it across, you can see how it will move from the first diamond to the second diamond. Perfect. I like that. That looks good. So in 20 more seconds, I want my 2018 to slide off the screen to the right. So I'm going to flip it back around because why not? Let's just flip it back over. And let's flip it off. You know what I mean. And I want it to flip right there at the next 20 seconds, and the third diamond shows up, and this is what it will look like. So now you've just created a video animation in Photoshop, and you can see how a movie is created by moving these images and making them stagnant at different points, which are indicated by these diamonds. So hopefully you understand a little bit better now why all of your images are off to the left, and they will all eventually be off to the right. Now I didn't really like how it bounced off, so I'm just going to manipulate it a little bit more. Well, at the third point, I don't want 2018 in the middle. I'm just flipping it around a bunch. Let's see what happens and what it looks like. Okay. You know what? For the point of this video, I don't really mind how it comes off. This all looks kind of cool. Cool. Now that we've transformed our 2018, we want our first image to come on the screen at the same point that it has come off. So let's put it on the third and hit transform. We're doing this because we want our image to start off screen. Then let's slide it over to about 20 seconds in. And remember, you hit enter to make the diamond appear. So we're shifting this over, and then we're hitting enter 20 seconds in. And at 20 seconds, this is where the image will be. So let's move 20 seconds more. Let's Command T, move our image a little bit more across, and make sure to keep your image horizontally, or sorry, keep the height the same as it moves across, because you don't want your image jumping up and down as it slides across. You want it to stay equally plateaued as it slides. So I'm just using a 20-second random time because I think that 20 seconds will make it slow enough where someone can actually see the picture. So we want the picture fully off at this point. And you click enter. And so now when you scroll it back over and then click space, you can watch your movie as it currently exists. So see, 20 seconds is pretty slow. You might want to do it a little bit faster than 20 seconds, but it's all up to you, really. I'm just doing this as a standard. So your image is moving across at each point. Now we want our second image to be glued to this image as it slides across. So let's move this first image all the way back to the point where it first is almost off the page, because that's where we want our second image to start. So let's leave the blue slidey thing at this point and move down to our second slide. Click the drop down arrow and then hit transform, because this is where our movie begins. Now 20 seconds from that point, well, we don't always have to do it at 20 seconds, but I'm going to do it for the sake of sticking to the 20 seconds. So 20 seconds in, this is where the first image is. Now let's Command T, move the second image glued to the first. That way when it slides across, it will slide across with our first picture. Now let's slide it some more. Now this won't be 20 seconds exactly because that's not when the image is fully off. Command T, slide this one in. Perfect, because that's not 20 seconds. It doesn't have to move anymore. And now let's move 20 seconds from the first 20 seconds we counted. So sliding across 20 seconds. And we want our image to be all the way in at this point. So let's leave this here, click enter. And now 20 seconds from that. All right. Command T, slide it about halfway because it'll move too fast across. This is a horizontal picture, so if it moves as fast as the other, it won't, you're going to miss the whole thing. So 20 seconds, and again, we want the image to slide fully off. So let's slide the image fully off the page, keeping it horizontal so that it slides across nicely. Click enter, and now scrolling it back, ooh, I saw a little gap there. So it doesn't always perfectly time along. So let's move this slowly across the slider until we see the gap, and let's stop where we see the gap. And then let's Command T, move the image over so that the gap is filled. And then keep playing this back until all of the gaps are filled. Oh, there's another one. Stop, Command T, slide it over. These diamonds are just indicating exactly where my image is going to be at that time in the video. So that looks pretty good. So just like we did before, let's bring our image to where we want our third image to begin. Highlight our third image, click transform, and let's move 20 seconds across. Actually, I'm not going to go by 20 seconds because as you saw, that doesn't always work. I'm just going to slide it in a little bit of time. Now you get the idea of how this works. So enter. You just want to make sure that your images are following the other images at every point. So I stop kind of following the 20-second rule and I just try to make it cohesive. You get the idea. So this one is almost done, and it is our last image that's sliding across. Perfect. Let's slide this all the way to the end. Since this is our last slide, let's continue all the way until it reaches the end of the photo, but let's not make it go off the screen. Because as you can see in my video, I then make myself fade out and then text fade in as the background picture grows. So let's do that now. The same way that we transformed images, we can transform the opacity. So we want it to start completely visible, and then 20 seconds in, oops, I made my thing move in my video. But you guys should have stopped. So for the sake of learning how to do the opacity, ignore the fact that the image behind it is moving. You can make the opacity shift from one to the other. So I'm just going to fix this down here because this is how I made my video by accident. Sorry if I confused you with that. I make mistakes too, guys, so if you make a mistake, you can just click on the triangle and literally press delete. So that looks good now. And now you can see I'm disappearing. And also, don't forget to highlight the layer that you want to affect with the opacity. Now I want to grow my image, so I'm going to highlight the layer of me laying on the beach there. and I'm going to transform the image, but this time when I transform it, I'm not going to transform it by moving it. I'm actually going to make it bigger. 20 seconds in. So 20 seconds from the previous point later, the image is going to be bigger. Sorry for my butt on the screen. So when you play it back, just play it back to see what it'll look like. It will get bigger. Amazing. Now, for whatever reason, the foreground shifted and I'm not centered, so we're going to have to fix that because you can see the white at the bottom and it doesn't look good. So everything is fixable. Just highlight the layer you want, Command T, move it up back to where you want it. All right, that looks good. Enter. And now we are back. So the opacity shouldn't have changed. Nothing else should have changed. You just moved the layer. All right, that is looking pretty good. Now, just like the video, I had text at the end as well. And you could probably do this on your own by now, but we're going to go through it together. So after the opacity has completely gone to 0, we're going to stay at that point. We're going to go to the layer of my beach bod and we're going to type our text. You did it! Awesome! So just like we did before, I'm going to highlight it. I want it to be smaller because it's off the page, obviously. Move it to where I want it to be. And now that you understand how this works, you can make this fade in by playing with the opacity, or you can make it grow. I feel like making it grow, so I'm actually going to make this really small. There we go. Slide it back to the middle. And it's not letting me click it, so I'm going to zoom in so it lets me click it. All right, awesome. And I'm going to slide it across. This is almost centered. Okay, that looks good. So I'm going to click Transform on my new text layer. Drop the arrow down, same way we've been doing this whole time. Now I'm going to slide it across 20 seconds because that's been my standard this whole time. Just counting really quick. Perfect. This thing is really feisty. Okay. Now that I'm 20 seconds in, I want it to be bigger. 20 seconds later. Scaling it up. Clicking Enter when I'm done. And now I'm bringing it back to the beginning. I'm going to click space and I'm going to watch the video that I've created. Bouncing across nicely. That wasn't so bad, guys, right? You know, this is a little bit painfully slow, but you can play around with it. Now that you know how to do it, you can make it move as fast or as slow as you want. But I don't see any gaps. My foreground is where I want it to be. My computer is also a little bit slow, so that's why it kind of looks like this. Painfully moving across. I really should have picked a different picture than my bum picture. Whatever. Enjoy. All right, now it should get bigger and I should disappear. Amazing. It's like magic. And you did it. Awesome, guys. So that's it. That's how you do it. That's how you make a video animation in Photoshop. I hope it helps you. I hope it's not too confusing. I know it's a lot and it's a long video, but if you followed me along till the end, it was totally worth it. If you create a video animation and you learned from this video, tag me. I want to see all of your videos. Even if it's like the exact same idea, steal it. Tag me. I want to see. So thanks, guys. If you want more tutorials like this, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you guys, and I'd love to create more videos that help you. Be creative and be you.